Live in Las Vegas, MGM Grand. We are preparing for probably one of the fights I'm geared up to see. Benavidez vs. Morreale happening at the T-Mobile Arena. Prime Video, live on pay-per-view. You want to be there 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, if you want to get correct. Happening Saturday. It is not sunny outside. It's not as the weather I predicted would be the 80s. It's really in the 50s, so you got to wear a jacket. You got to get ready. You got to get your mindset. But a gentleman who I think part of my career is tributed to his career because if you're in broadcasting, he's a pioneer of what we looked at on TV from my grandparents watching TV on sports, ABC Sports, and I went through some of the book that you have out. Jim Lampley, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. Listen.
You are phenomenal. I agree with that.
Oh, thank you. What can your peers say about you that's not in this book? What can you think your peers can say about you that doesn't reflect nothing that's going on in this book that we can expect soon in April?
Well, I think anybody who knows me, and it's in the subtitle of the book, anybody who knows me would say to you, this guy has had an astonishingly lucky life. I mean, the number of great things, unpredictable things that have happened over time to Jim Lampley, it's striking. There just aren't that many people who bump into situations that are favorable to them the number of times that I did. And it's almost eerie because in some ways you can't escape the subject of my father died when I was 5 years old. My mother was a struggling double widow who had to really sweat and strain to get me through junior high school and high school. I flunked out of college because of absence of effort. A lot of terrible things were put in front of me, and ultimately the universe paid me back. All those setbacks, all those negative factors were sort of erased when I won a one-of-a-kind talent hunt in 1974 as one of 432 candidates to become the first person ever to stand on the sideline of a college football game with a camera and a microphone. I didn't portray any of the qualifications that ABC Sports had promised would be attached to this person who was chosen from the talent hunt. I wasn't still undergraduate age. I had majored in communications, which wasn't supposed to be the case. I was in graduate school, not undergraduate school at that point. I was 25, not 18 to 22. All the things that they said they were looking for, that was not me. But at the end of the day, I was given the gig and therefore became the first person who ever stood on the sidelines with a camera and a microphone. And that, of course, became the stepping stone, the platform that led me to all the other things, up to and including 13 years at ABC Sports. And then a new chief executive of the division arrived and wanted to get rid of me, wanted to flush me out. How do I bring an end to Jim Lampley's career? And he decided I'll assign him to boxing. He won't culturally fit that particular sport. The sport will chew him up and spit him out. The audience will see him as the successor to Cosell. There's no way his career will survive this. I'm going to do it and get rid of Jim Lampley. That executive did not realize that ABC had just signed a look-see, get-acquainted contract with a 19-year-old heavyweight from upstate New York whose name was Mike Tyson. So the first several fights I called on ABC Sports as a fledgling boxing announcer.
I miss ABC. I'm not only that. I miss the HBO having boxing. I miss, those golden moments that you provide that we watched, and it's like the hidden nuggets of information that we get in the fight when we're watching it. It's like it's part of the show. Like, you're important to why we watch boxing. People that are older than me who got to see you, I missed that. So I don't know what it is. I have to go to YouTube and rediscover. So you're telling me you didn't fit the mold. I didn't fit the mold, my guy. I'm a little heavy set. I was born Mexican American. I didn't fit the mold of what's going on. The person that who's supposed to be here, he has other duties, so I fill in when he's not available. But I've been covering this probably the last 6 years since he wasn't available. So I know what it is to be like, all right, you're up.
Yeah.
You gotta take the job and then do the best. The problem is they underestimate that we just love it. We love being behind the mic. We love to talk to someone. We love to get the small bits of information that no one can pull. And you have to have a certain energy and operate on a high frequency to pull that information from someone. Like, people kind of get says, "Yo, you're a good guy. I could talk to you. I feel comfortable." And you've done that throughout your whole career. And I just want to say, I want to just thank you.
I love fighters. Okay, fighters are a specific kind of personality. They're not like other athletes. They go in, face each other face to face. One man's trying to prove that he's better than the other. It's a more direct, more confrontational way of competing, even than a one-on-one matchup in basketball, one-on-one matchup in football. They're not hitting each other. And so at the end of the day, there's nothing exactly like boxing. And the executive who assigned me to boxing to try to get rid of me had no way of knowing, couldn't possibly have known, that after my father died when I was 5 years old, the very first sports event that my mother ever sat me down in front of a television set and commanded me to watch was Sugar Ray Robinson versus Bobo Olson for the middleweight championship of the world on the Gillette Friday night fights. I can still remember her saying to me, "Sit down, you're going to watch Gillette Friday night fights, Sugar Ray Robinson versus Bobo Olson, and by the way, the reason you're doing this is because if your father was still alive, it's what he would be doing, and you would be sitting here with him." So that was how it began.
The universe definitely repaid you handsomely.
Correct. That's right. The universe took care of me.
In this book, and it's out, what's the correct date? I don't want to mess it up.
April 15th.
April 15th.
But you can buy it now on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. The title of the book is It Happened. The subtitle is My Uniquely Lucky Life in Sports Broadcasting.
The first words that Mike said to you, or the first words that kind of stuck with you the night after you met Mike, or the day you met Mike, what were those words that kind of like stuck with you?
Well, he didn't say them to me. As soon as he had flattened and destroyed Jesse Ferguson's nose with an uppercut, and there was blood all over the ring, the fight was stopped. My expert commentator, who was an ABC executive named Alex Wallow, went into the ring to do the post-fight interview, and the first question he asked was, "Mike, tell me about the uppercut." And Mike said, "Katamata taught me that the purpose of the uppercut to drive the opponent's nose bone into his brain. I was trying to drive his nose bone into his brain." And I'm standing at ringside, listening to Mike talking about trying to drive Jesse's nose bone into his brain, and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, look at what I've happened onto here accidentally. And this kid is not only going to be the number one quote machine in boxing, he's going to be the number one quote machine in sports. It was visible from that moment. And within the next few weeks, they all came rolling out. Boxing is a hurt business. Everybody's got a plan until you hit them, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually, I thought he was unbeatable, indomitable, et cetera, et cetera. I watched him go the distance with James Quick Tillis in the second or third fight that I called. I learned something from that, even though he had knocked other people for loops and cartwheels and stuff like that, he couldn't do that to an older, more experienced, more sophisticated fighter with a little bit more range, which was what Tillis was. I watched him knock out Marvis Frazier in 33 seconds, so I saw what that kind of destruction could be. But at the end of the day, I learned a very important thing from Mike, which is nobody's invulnerable, nobody's perfect, nobody's going to win every fight regardless of how skilled or talented he is. Boxing is a mirror of the real world, and in the real world, unexpected things happen.
In all the fights you witnessed, whether it worked or went for your leisure, or can you rank the top 5 memorable fights that you've been experienced?
I've done that, and I don't remember at this moment in what order, what they were. Anybody who saw the first fight between Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward is going to have to put that on the list somewhere. Anybody who saw all 3 fights between Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales is going to fit 1 or 2 of them into that. Israel Vasquez versus Rafael Marquez, that's another one. These fights are just too violent, blood-curdling. totally confrontational, to be left out. Riddick Bowe versus Evander Holyfield. I called Tyson's upset loss to Buster Douglas. The very first live prize fight I ever attended was Cassius Clay versus Sonny Liston, February 25, 1964.
Do you have anything from that moment, like a ticket stub or anything?
Nothing. I saved lawn mowing and car washing money for months and bought what I believe in my memory is a $100 ticket. It might have been a $150 ticket for Cassius Clay versus Sonny Liston in Miami Beach. And no, I do not have any souvenir from that fight, because in those days we didn't have social media and we didn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just different time. I guess I'm more related to collecting the baseball cards, I was collecting baseball cards since I was younger, so that's one of the things I kind of do. Even to these.
Oh my gosh, I have Mickey Mantle. This makes my life.
Yeah, you can't be that close to that, but something. Yeah, it just those. I think it's like there's an artist named Bad Bunny, and he has a song, basically saying that I wish I could have took more photos. Yes, we want to live in a moment, but we want to take the photos to remember the time, because as we get older, we're not going to remember them as well. But when you look at the photo, oh my God, you remember everything. It just kicks in. So that's why I asked, I like when I come see to Canelo, I collect all the ticket stubs and I put on my phone or bring it to the house. I just collect the ticket stubs. I collect, if I see something, a nice cool T-shirt, I like to buy it, wear it. But I want to remember that time that made me feel, a kid again.
It's been 38 years since the moment I acquired my first cell phone in Los Angeles in 1987. So the entire world has changed overwhelmingly and dramatically. And yes, what a boon to grandparents. The number of grandchild pictures I now have in my phone. Thank heaven for storage capacity and things of that nature. So it's all great.
Let's talk about this fight coming up. I know you gave a long, extensive preview and your analyst, but what are you feeling about this fight? Give me a story. I don't want predictions. I think you're gonna get predictions all weekend long, but give me a good story of why do you like this particular main card, Benavidez and Morrell.
It's an intensely exciting confrontation between a guy with Cuban amateur background skills, a highly technical education that isn't available to most fighters in the sport. He has it, and by the way, he has real punching power at 175 pounds. He's going in against David Benavidez, a Mexican-American kid who was raised by his boxing trainer father specifically for moments like this and has colossal punching power. So anytime we're going to see two light heavyweights, both of whom have technical skill, both of whom have terrific punching power, both of whom are desperate in their hearts to get that matchup against Canelo Alvarez at either 168 or 175 pounds, wherever that fight can be made, we're in for a great fight. It's only, late January, early February? This could be the fight of the year.
I love that, man. You'll get to see more throughout the whole weekend. Jim Lampley, thank you so much for your time.
And you can share with me on ppv.com the text chain that we do throughout the fight.
Tell me more about ppv.com.
So, four of us, me, Lance Pugmire, who is with Boxing Scene, Dan Canobio, whose family developed CompuBox, Chris Algieri.
Dan is very funny. I'm a big fan of Dan.
Dan's great. Chris Algieri, who's upset of Ruslan Provodnikov, I called at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The four of us sit ringside. We watch what we watch during the fights. We are prepped by homework like this to be prepared to try to say something meaningful about the fights, and we type into our computers, and we have a shared text chain where all four of us are commenting back and forth on what we see in the ring, and the people who buy the pay-per-view can check a box and join in. They become a part of ppv.com also, so they get on ppv.com. Jim, I disagree with you about this. Lance, I think you're 100% correct about that. It's a shared communal experience made possible by digital communications. Didn't exist before. Now growing rapidly under the banner of ppv.com, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it because it brought me back to ringside. I had been gone for 4+ years before I came back to do this kind of commentary for ppv.com.
Well, I'm happy you're back, and I'm happy. Well, I never felt that you went away, but I'm happy that you found this new joy in this new age where we're at right now. And thank you so much for your time. I can't express what it's going to be like for the future for you and where you at with ppv.com. And thank you so much, sir.
My privilege.
Thank you so much.
It happened.
It happened, Jim Lampley. Yes, don't forget, get the book. Unluckily, like happened in sports television, going down April 15th, but you can pre-order and buy.
Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Jim Lampley, it happened.
Are you doing a tour? Are you going around?
Yeah.
Oh, tour.
Oh, yeah.
When do we start the tour?
I'm going to be doing all of that laborious kind of stuff. Well, the tour is about to begin pretty quickly because we have another fight for ppv.com March 1, and that is in New York. So,
Oh yeah, I'll be there. So
when I get to New York, I'll be going to Barnes & Noble and other places like that.
I'll show up.